do you still have the if you don't check in, you don't hear from me rule, or do you touch base?
I touch base with them now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had don't hear from me, you won't hear from me for a bit.
Yeah.
I've just changed it, and then I had no check-ins last week, so like it didn't respond to anyone. I was like, I'm fucked. I'll do doubles next week.
Yeah.
Some of them are like 25 minutes, like doubling up, watching all
Yeah,
the videos,
videos,
blah blah blah,
yeah.
changing shit. Yeah, it's like this is the wrong time to have decided I reach out to everyone, because then it's like an hour later,
Yeah.
the replies start to come.
Yeah.
Like, hey, didn't get a check-in from you. What's going on? And you get,
Yeah. I like work. I've kind of worked my clients out. So if someone doesn't check in and they're like religious, I'm like,
Hey.
something must be wrong.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, hey, is everything okay? And then I've got a couple that like a week's not long enough.
Yeah.
So then I'm just like, hey,
Do you need
do you need anything? And they're like, nah, cool, I'll do check in next week. And then I got one client who's like, checks in like once a month, and he's just like, hey man, in like 2 weeks, can we like just have a Zoom? I'm like, sweet, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I've done nothing for 6 weeks. You can have your Zoom.
Yeah.
Like, so it kind of works.
I had this exact conversation with a coach during the week in like a business call, who was sort of frustrated with the clients again, and like, they're not fucking doing this, not doing that. I'm like, dude, the last coach I hired, shout out to Max, friend of the show, legend, we used to message me every single week. Hey bro, can you check in? Hey bro, can you check in?
Yeah.
Hey bro, can you check in?
Yeah.
And then every fourth or fifth week, I'd be like,
check in.
Max, this hurts. This isn't working. This is broken. I'm upset about this. Help. And he would fix the problem, and I'd be like, that was worth my monthly payment, and I'll go
off.
back to not checking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's just, it's as a coach, like you said, it's knowing what the value is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for a lot of them, the value is showing up every week, the accountability and stuff.
Yeah.
So you just obviously lean into that. But some of them are like, I'm off doing it, man.
Yeah.
Like someone messaged me, they're like, hey man, I'm doing everything. I just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm good. And I'm like, cool. I'm sweet. I can sleep at night knowing that you're okay.
Yeah.
And you're happy and you don't need any help.
Yeah.
Like, because at the end of the day, that's what it.
Do you find guys way worse like that? They just go do the thing.
Yeah. They're just like, hey man, I'm doing it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I'm like, sweet.
It's like, yeah, but where's the data? It's like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I've got one who's like disappears for ages, then sends me his photos. I'm like, fucking hell, bro. Like, all right.
Yeah. You have been doing
Yeah,
the
and
thing.
then he's just like, hey, can you just change my diet? I want to cut now. I'm
Yeah.
like, sweet. And then he'll just go.
Yeah.
And he's
see
just
you
like,
in 8
hey,
weeks.
man. Yeah, like, can you change this? I'm like, sweet. So it just happens.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's getting what he needs. I think like that's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
Like,
So I wonder if
you
it's
lose that
just-
frustration.
We've had it, and I wonder if coaches have it too. Just that insecurity, like you said, of value.
The value. Yeah.
Like, I'm not providing enough because you're not checking in, which reflects poorly on me. So
Mm.
it's not actually about the client not checking in. It's about you thinking
Are you worth it?
you're shit because you're not
Yeah.
providing good enough.
Yeah. Where like now, like I said, I just work back off like they're getting what they need
Yeah.
out of it. So some like, again, it's like the gym membership with the pool. It's like you don't get stressed when they don't use the pool.
Yeah.
Like they might only use literally the weights area. They don't use the classes. They don't use the cardio.
Yeah.
It's like the gym. Like the people don't care.
Yeah.
That person's still getting what they want. I feel more like that now.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I don't get
agree.
upset when I'm like, you haven't done this and that. I'm just like, are you happy with what you're doing? And if they're not happy, I'm like, all right, well let's look at where you're doing well and what you're missing the mark on.
Yeah.
Can we lift in all of these departments?
Yeah. So a bit of a thread of the pod lately has been like, we talked a lot about rethinking your niche and people just like having expectations of their whole client book being the perfect client.
Yeah.
I feel like this ties into it a little bit. It's just like,
Yeah.
I feel like the art of coaching a person, I don't know, it just seems lost at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know what? I think because we've got this like pressure to move online that they don't spend enough time like in that face-to-face contact, like learning those skills of coaching.
Yeah.
And then it kind of they just miss out on years of good conversations that don't set them up to take a client from where they are to the client that they want them to be.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, your ability to take your clients who are, we'll call them lifestyle clients, to like basically athletes.
Yeah.
That is solely your ability to communicate with them.
Yeah.
It's not really like
Yeah.
you had this special programming method that revolutionized general pop people to hit the platform. And that's the same with me, like getting people invested in their physique enough to pursue it as a sport. It was like our ability to communicate with them, to understand what they needed to do as a beginner, give them that sense of belief that they're actually good at this and they could pursue it as a sport.
Yeah.
And everything along the way of like how to stack the habits and all of that. We didn't just like fall into that skill.
Yeah.
You have conversations with people for like thousands of hours.
Yeah. And I think with that practice now, it almost, particularly outside looking in, but even internally, I've been reflecting on this heaps because we've been having this conversation a lot with Standout. The people coming through Standout.
Yeah.
Just those initial conversations and those high friction conversations and stuff that you have, and the expectations that you put on yourself, and how much that actually changes the way the person behaves.
Yeah.
And then if you're a coach who's looking at your client book like being like, I wish I was coaching the same people that Ben and Jason are. It's like, you are, but maybe the first 5 conversations you had with them were different.
Yeah.
So the framework that you set, the values that you set, the expectations that you set, all of that just didn't land. The buy-in that you created, all of that. So it's like if you're not feeling confident and comfortable in your consults, that's the setup for the coaching relationship.
Yeah.
If you're hesitant so this week alone, so last week I put on a client who, we talked about it on the other pod, like told me that their last coach didn't change their macros for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 months. And I was like, okay, how adherent were you?
Yeah.
Not adherent enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so just so you know, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
But I would tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
And she got pissed off because the coach didn't say, I'm not changing your macros because you're not following them for 6 months, and just left them the same.
Right.
I said it in the consult. So all of a sudden,
changes
she's been
everything.
perfectly adherent for 2 weeks.
Amazing.
So this lifestyle client who was with a coach who would say, oh, fuck, she just didn't follow the plan.
Yeah.
Who's going, I don't want to coach that person. Now you're looking at my client, who's exactly the same person, who's 100% diligent, tracks on the weekends, even if they go over.
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, nip that in the butt, have that conversation instantly.
Yeah.
Client yesterday has just gone through a rough month. Every week, you half track, didn't track.
Yeah.
I don't care if you track. Eat your protein.
Yeah.
You tell me what you're committing to this week. You tell me what you're committing to this week. You tell me what you're committing to this week. Message this morning, I'm ready.
Yeah.
She competes. She's jacked as fuck. She's very strong. And outside looking in, she'd be one of the people that other trainers are like, fuck, I wish I had clients like her.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm still having the same conversations that I had with Jane 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like, so I know for me, some of my clients I've had for like 5 or 6 years too. So they weren't like it's no different to like looking at a physique. Like you look at someone who's like big, strong and shredded and you're like, I can't wait to be them. And it's like, well, that's years of foundational work, like, you know, as a representation of time and effort.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at people's clients and it's like, that's the same. They weren't perfect when they first started.
Yeah.
They didn't have the ability to say how high when you said jump.
Yeah.
They didn't know, they had bad relationships with food, poor relationships with exercise, poor technique and skill in the gym. And we've managed to, you know, just gradually get better.
Yeah.
Stack habits, and here we are as a product of that.
Yeah. And everything's built around it because, like you said, I wonder how much of it is subconscious and even just built into the service because we dealt with it for so long. Like 90% of our client base were the person that you had to convince.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, what do we need to build in the system that does that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is the questions we ask in the check-in, is the way we do our consult, is the sales process, is the app itself, the programming models, the having a 3-week habit phase, like all of that stuff's built in because of the experience that we gained working with those people that then allow us to take quote unquote Gen Pop into someone who behaves more like an athletic population in a shorter period of time
Yeah.
because it's literally built into the framework.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's multi-layered, like the reasons. Like, just think about if like you're someone who's like in running your business in like fear and scarcity. Like, just think about how you coach that person.
Yeah.
You know, where like now I have and for a while, it's like if someone's not doing what they're supposed to, I'm like, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
So I would never have said that at a point in my career
Yeah.
because I was scared that if I said that, my client would leave.
Would leave. Yeah.
Because I didn't want to piss them off.
Yeah.
So then, like, think about what that manifests and how that steamrolls.
Yeah.
And how that energy becomes, you know, whether it's good or bad, like, you know, kind of manifested across your business. Like,
Yeah. Because human behavior is always going to test the rope, right?
absolutely.
So it's like, well, I didn't get pulled up,
So I'll keep
so I'll
going.
do it again. I didn't get pulled up, I'll do it again.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there's things that are happening that the client just thinks are normal daily practices that if another coach who had the confidence said, like, hey, man, like, why are you doing that? Like you did with the macros. It's just like, well, I'm not changing them because you're not following them.
Yeah.
So you just were like, and then she was like, oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. Of course.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Where for some reason, and she's not a coach,
Yeah.
she just couldn't understand why her diet didn't change.
Yeah.
But all you had to say was like, there's no point changing that if you can't stick to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was just like, that makes perfect sense to
Yeah.
me, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just having that courage to be like a specialist, like have the courage to like, I feel like sometimes because we have to like put clients on our book and make money, we forget that people are hiring us to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Like people are hiring us to guide them, and you're literally hiring a specialist in exercise and training and motivation.
Yep.
To take you from here to here.
Yeah. The interesting one's the motivation, right?
Yeah. Well, like if you look at like a personal trainer's job description, like it's to encourage them to show up to the gym, and
But that's our community would sneeze at that word.
yeah,
Like,
I agree.
I'm not a motivator. I'm not your mum.
Well,
I'm not your dad. I'm not your whatever.
I can guarantee that my most diligent clients are motivated by me and my ability to plan for them and communicate with them to get to the gym.
And that's
I can guarantee you that.
That's where it comes from, right? It's like when people hear motivation, they think of the fucking high five, trainer in the gym. Yeah. We've found a way to be motivating through other avenues, which are setting expectations, standards, accountability, having tough conversations.
And making your words mean something. So when they do something good, you then say, well done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not the high five dude who just like gasses people up. Like, there's this dude on the weekend and I can't fucking stand him. Like, honestly. And my client actually said, Mr. High Five. And I said, awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, way to not make your words mean something. And he was like, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is why that particular person isn't one of my people. It's because I want to make my words mean something. And I don't want to gas people up just because I'm in fear that they're going to leave me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because then they're motivated. Like, one of my girls had a bad week, but she showed up. And I just said, that's the mindset of a champion. And I said, that is amazing. And I said, you should hold yourself in the highest regard that on this week, you still showed up even when you were tired, hungry, and whatever. And I said, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
As if that's not motivating.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get it twisted, man, on like now with social media and everyone like trying to
acceptance coaching and shit.
And even just everyone trying to stand out by saying like motivation's bullshit. So then people are like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we're just getting it twisted now, where I'm just like, motivation's not something that you need to fuel your whole journey, but it's still something as a coach you want to keep with your clients. Like, I want my clients to be motivated.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a motivated person is going to get the best outcome.
Yeah. And I think it, like most fucking 99% of arguments on the internet, just comes back to the definition of the word.
Yeah, it's semantics, right?
It's like, if you say buy-in, people are like, oh, yeah. Buy-in's great.
Yeah.
It's like, what's fucking motivation?
How can you... I was really bought in, but I wasn't motivated. Yeah, it's just like, you just don't want them to only ever fuel themselves off motivation.
Correct.
Like, because that's when the person doesn't go to the gym when they're tired, hungry,
Yeah.
had a bad week. It's that time of the month for the ladies. Like,
Yeah.
you want them to have the discipline,
Yeah.
but when they do the thing, like,
Yeah. Which
motivate them by saying that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like sometimes that is a communication skill. That is a coaching skill.
Yeah. So do you think right now the biggest lost art then is creating buy-in / motivation with clients? That's the thing that personal trainers are missing the most.
I think